Night settles gently over a narrow Victorian street, and the world begins to slow in a quiet, steady way. This story moves into those late hours when work has ended and small rooms grow calm beneath low light. It follows the simple rhythm of life after dark, shaped by shared spaces, familiar routines, and the soft presence of rest. The setting is modest and close, built from brick, stone, and long habit, where families settle in and the street grows still. Sounds become distant, and light fades without hurry. Attention drifts through courtyards, hallways, and rooms where warmth gathers and movement eases. The details remain plain and steady, focused on how the night feels as it unfolds. This is a slow and quiet look at everyday life, meant to ease the mind and allow rest to arrive naturally. Chapter 1. Begin by settling into a quiet Victorian street after dusk. A quiet Victorian street settles after dusk as the day gently releases its hold. The narrow road grows calmer, with only a faint glow remaining from scattered street lamps. Brick buildings stand close together, their surfaces darkened by years of weather and soot. Windows are small and uneven, some covered by thin curtains, others left bare. The air feels cooler now, resting softly against stone walls and door frames. The street no longer carries the pace of work or trade. Instead, it holds a steady stillness that spreads slowly from one end to the other. Footpaths appear worn smooth, shaped by countless steps taken long before nightfall. Doorways remain open just enough to let in the evening air, offering quiet signs of life within. As the lamps continue to glow, breathing naturally slows in the calm that surrounds the street. Their light does not shine brightly, but rather settles gently over cobblestones and doorsteps. Shadows stretch along the ground without movement. The sound of the city feels distant here, softened by time and distance. The lamps flicker slightly, steady but never sharp. Warm light rests against the edges of windows and walls, creating a sense of ease without drawing attention. The rhythm of the street becomes unhurried. Nothing rushes forward. Everything waits comfortably in place. Inside the buildings, narrow rooms hold families resting beneath worn blankets. These rooms are small and simply arranged, with beds placed close together to share warmth. Fabric shows signs of long use, softened through years of washing and handling. Pillows are thin, but carefully placed. Wooden floors feel cool beneath bare feet, and simple furniture stands quietly against the walls. The rooms carry familiar scents of fabric, wood, and air that has moved through open windows. Bodies rest close, finding comfort in presence rather than space. Breathing settles into slow patterns as fatigue eases away. Outside, gentle night sounds move softly through the street. Footsteps pass at a relaxed pace. Never hurried, never loud. Quiet whispers drift briefly before fading into stillness. Somewhere farther away, a cart rolls slowly along another road, its wheels turning with a soft rhythm. The sound remains distant and muted, offering no disruption. Doors close with care, never slammed. The city feels larger beyond the street, but its noise does not reach here. Instead, a steady hush remains, broken only by the natural movements of night. Attention drifts through simple routines, finishing after long working days. Hands that once carried tools or baskets now rest quietly at sides or fold blankets with care. Faces washed gently with cool water drawn earlier. Shoes are set neatly near doorways, ready for morning. Clothing is placed within reach, folded with familiarity. These routines follow patterns shaped by years of repetition, offering comfort through predictability. Each action completes itself without thought or effort. The body recognizes the sequence and settles naturally as tasks come to an end. Shared courtyards cool as evening air grows slightly damp. Stone surfaces release warmth gathered during the day, leaving a gentle chill behind. Moisture gathers lightly on railings and steps. The open space between buildings feels calm and still, no longer active with voices or movement. Windows surrounding the courtyard show dim light or complete darkness. A breeze passes through, slow and mild, carrying the scent of stone and earth. The air feels clean and quiet, resting evenly throughout the space. Neighbors move through quiet moments as beds are prepared and minds begin to settle. Curtains are drawn carefully to soften outside light. Candles are extinguished one by one, leaving rooms in gentle darkness. Words are few now, exchanged softly if at all. Familiar routines bring reassurance, easing thoughts that linger from the day. Each household moves at its own pace, yet the rhythm remains shared. The night gathers these moments together without pressure or urgency. Thoughts begin to move toward the steady calm of sleep arriving slowly. The body grows heavier against simple mattresses. Muscles relax as warmth builds beneath blankets. Breathing becomes deeper, smoother, unbroken by interruption. Sounds fade into the background, no longer drawing focus. The street outside holds its silence faithfully. Time stretches gently, allowing rest to take its place without demand. Awareness settles on warmth, stillness, and safety within each room. Walls provide shelter from wind and cold. Doors remain closed, firm and reassuring. The closeness of family offers quiet comfort. The darkness feels familiar rather than uncertain. Nothing asks for attention. Nothing needs to be solved. The night supports rest by remaining unchanged, steady in its presence. Rest arrives fully as the street remains quiet through the late hours. Lamps continue their soft glow until they dim with time. The air stays cool and calm. The city beyond remains distant and unseen. Sleep deepens naturally, held by the gentle consistency of the night. Everything remains as it is, peaceful and still, allowing rest to continue without interruption. Chapter 2. Invite your breathing to slow as lamps glow softly nearby. Tonight can feel like a clean pause, where the body finally loosens its grip on the day. A quiet street holds steady under the last stretch of evening, and a line of lamps offers a soft, reliable glow. Their light is not sharp or bright. It sits low and warm, landing gently on stone and brick. The air around the lamps looks slightly hazy, as if it carries fine dust that becomes visible only when light passes through it. The street is not busy now. It has slowed into a calm, familiar shape, with doorways settled and windows dimmed. Breathing begins to change in this kind of place. It becomes less pushed and less tight. Each breath starts to feel smoother, as if the chest no longer needs to work so hard. The throat stays relaxed. The shoulders stop holding themselves up with effort. The jaw rests in a natural position, without clenching. The pace of breathing eases into something quieter, something that does not rush. Air moves in, air moves out, and the space between breaths becomes longer and more comfortable. Nearby, the lamps continue to glow with steady patience. Some are fixed to walls, others stand on posts, and each one has its own small circle of light. The circles overlap in places, leaving long stretches of gentle shadow between them. In those darker areas, details soften. Edges blur slightly. Nothing looks demanding. The scene feels simple. The light touches the ground, then fades upward, leaving upper windows and rooftops mostly dark. A few windows show a weak yellow shine from inside, but most are quiet and covered. The lamps make the street feel organized, even when it is worn. Cobblestones show uneven surfaces, polished smooth in some spots from many years of footsteps. The wetness of the evening sits lightly on the ground, not enough to puddle, just enough to darken the stone. In the lamp glow, a thin sheen can be seen on the road, catching light in a calm, slow way. The air carries a coolness that feels clear rather than harsh. It rests against skin like a soft cloth, not cold enough to sting, only cool enough to be noticed. Breathing continues to settle. The ribs move with less strain. The belly rises and falls with an easy rhythm. The mind does not need to count or control anything. The body already knows how to slow down when the world grows quiet. Sounds in the street remain low and scattered. A distant footstep appears, then fades. A door closes carefully somewhere down the lane. The sound of it is brief, like a final note that ends without echo. After that, silence returns to its place. Under the lamps, small details become soothing to notice. The glass of the lamp has faint marks from soot and weather. The metal frame looks dark and slightly rough. The flame inside, or the bright core of light, shifts gently with tiny changes in air. The glow does not flicker wildly. It simply moves a little, as if it is breathing too. The lamp light brings out the texture of brick walls, showing lines of mortar and small cracks that have been there a long time. The street feels older than the moment, but also steady, as if it has learned how to be quiet at night. Breathing remains calm, and with each slow breath, the body feels more supported. Hands feel heavier, resting without tension. Legs relax, no longer ready to move. The forehead smooths. Eyelids feel softer, even if they remain open. The tongue rests gently in the mouth. There is no need for effort. This is the part of the night where work and worry begin to lose their hold, not through force, but through simple stillness. The lamp glow spreads across doorsteps and narrow alleys. In those small spaces, the light becomes even softer, almost like a thin wash of color. Shadows gather behind barrels, near the base of walls. around the edges of stairs. A stray cat might pass through the light without making a sound, then disappear into darker space. Even that movement feels quiet, as if the night accepts it without comment. A curtain moves slightly in a window, stirred by air from a cracked pane. Nothing changes quickly. Nothing demands attention. Breathing slows further, and the chest feels more open. The feeling is gentle, not forced. The heart keeps its steady beat without needing to be noticed. The body begins to feel warm in some places and cool in others. The warmth gathers under blankets and clothing. The coolness stays at the edges, near hands and cheeks, like a light reminder of the night air. This mixture feels balanced. It helps the mind settle because it is simple and familiar. The lamps create a sense of safety through their presence. Light means the street is not fully hidden. It can be seen in pieces, and those pieces feel enough. Corners remain dark, but not frightening. Darkness here is only the absence of bright light. It is part of how the night looks. It is expected. It is steady. The lamps keep their quiet watch, and the street responds by becoming calmer. Breathing stays slow and even, in and out, with a smooth pace. The spaces between breaths feel peaceful, as if the body is resting even while it continues to breathe. The shoulders sink a little more. The arms feel relaxed from elbow to fingertips. The back settles into whatever surface supports it. Muscles release in small steps, not all at once, like a series of tiny permissions. There is comfort in that gradual change. Nothing needs to happen quickly. The sounds of night remain gentle. A far-off cart may roll across another road, its wheels soft against the ground. The sound arrives as a low rumble, then becomes quieter until it disappears. A faint murmur of voices might drift from a corner, low enough to be more like a background hum than clear words. Then that too fades. The street returns to quiet, as if it has a natural way of restoring calm after any small noise. Lamplight reflects in simple ways. It catches on a metal latch, on the rim of a bucket, on the edge of a window frame. It touches the damp ground and makes it look smooth for a moment. It rests on brick and makes the wall seem warmer than it is. The glow does not move much, so the world looks steady. That steadiness makes breathing feel easier. When everything outside is calm, the body often follows. Breathing continues without interruption. There is no need to think of tomorrow. There is no need to replay the day. The night does not ask for plans or answers. It offers quiet and time. The lamp glow becomes a gentle companion to that quiet, a soft point of light that tells the senses everything is settled. In nearby rooms, many have already grown dark. A few still hold a dim light, maybe a candle turned low, maybe a lamp set behind a curtain. Shadows inside those rooms sit quietly on walls. Bedding is simple and layered, used carefully. Fabrics have a softness that comes from repeated use. The air indoors is warmer than outside, but still fresh enough to feel comfortable. Breathing in those rooms becomes slow for the same reason it slows on the street. The world has become less demanding. The night air remains cool and slightly damp. It carries the smell of stone, old wood, and faint smoke from earlier fires. The scent is not strong. It is part of the background, like the feel of cool air on skin. The lamps add a mild warmth to the scene, though the warmth is mostly in their color, not in the air itself. That warm color helps the mind stay calm. It suggests quiet rather than activity. Breathing remains steady, and the body feels as if it is settling into a safer, softer mode. The neck relaxes. The face feels heavier, as if the muscles no longer need to hold expression. The mind becomes less busy when the body grows comfortable. Thoughts may still appear, but they pass more slowly and feel less important. Attention can rest on simple details, instead the steady lamp glow, the quiet street, the cool air, the feeling of breath moving gently. The lamps continue their calm work. They hold the street in soft light, one pool at a time. Between each pool, darkness sits like a quiet pause. Those pauses feel restful. The street becomes a series of gentle sections, each one calmer than the last. The night feels long, but in a peaceful way. It offers plenty of time for breathing to remain slow, for muscles to stay relaxed, for the mind to drift toward rest. As the hours move forward, the lamps remain. Their glow may dim slightly as the night deepens, but it still stays present. the street becomes even quieter. Fewer sounds appear. Air feels still. Breathing stays slow and smooth, and the body feels ready to rest for as long as it needs. The night holds steady. The lamps glow softly nearby, and everything remains calm. Chapter 3. Notice narrow rooms where families rest beneath warm blankets. There is a quiet strength in how small rooms hold entire families at rest. Inside these narrow spaces, walls sit close together, offering shelter rather than openness. The rooms are simple, shaped by necessity and long use. Beds fill much of the floor, leaving only small paths between them. Some beds are pushed against walls, others placed side by side, close enough for shared warmth. The ceilings are low, and the air feels contained in a steady, comforting way. Nothing here feels rushed. Everything has found its place for the night. Worn blankets cover resting bodies with familiar weight. The fabric shows signs of age, softened through years of handling and washing. Threads are thinner in places, edges slightly frayed, yet the blankets still serve their purpose well. They lie carefully over shoulders and legs, tucked in with quiet care. The weight of the cloth feels reassuring, not heavy, just enough to keep warmth close. Each blanket carries the memory of many nights, offering consistency that helps the body relax. The rooms carry gentle warmth gathered from shared presence. Several people resting together change the air itself. It feels softer, fuller, as if it holds warmth without effort. Breath moves quietly through the space, rising and falling in uneven but calm rhythms. Some breathing is deeper, some lighter, but all of it blends into a low, steady background. This shared sound becomes part of the room, as natural as the walls and floor. Furniture stands close and still. A small table might sit near the bed, holding folded clothing or a simple bowl. Chairs are pushed aside for the night, their wooden legs resting firmly on the floor. A chest near the wall holds belongings carefully arranged earlier in the evening. Nothing feels decorative. Every item serves a clear purpose. That simplicity brings ease. The mind does not need to sort through clutter. The room is ready for rest. Light inside these rooms is low and gentle. Some spaces hold no light at all, relying on darkness to guide sleep. Others have a faint glow from a covered lamp or a candle turned low before being extinguished. Shadows rest quietly along corners and behind furniture. The darkness is not complete, but it is enough to soften edges and quiet thoughts. Eyes grow heavy in this kind of light. The room encourages stillness without effort. The floors feel cool beneath blankets and bare feet. Wood planks run close together, worn smooth by years of movement. In some places, rugs lie thin and flat, offering slight insulation from the chill. The coolness of the floor balances the warmth above, creating a steady, comfortable contrast. This balance helps the body settle. Nothing feels extreme. Everything feels measured. Bodies rest close, sharing space without concern. Children sleep curled near parents. Older family members rest at the edges of beds, careful not to disturb others. Arms lie loosely at sides. Hands relax open rather than clenched. Faces soften as muscles release tension held during the day. The closeness feels protective, familiar, and calm. There is no need for distance. Presence itself offers comfort. The air inside the room carries quiet scents of fabric, wood, and earlier meals. These smells are faint, blended together, never sharp. They belong to the space and do not demand attention. The scent of clean cloth mixes with the natural smell of people at rest. It is a scent shaped by daily life, steady and unchanged. Familiar scents often help the mind feel safe, allowing thoughts to slow. Sound within these rooms remains minimal. Occasional shifting of blankets creates a soft rustle. A quiet breath catches and then smooths out again. Someone turns gently, wood creaking slightly beneath weight. These sounds do not interrupt rest. They settle quickly back into silence. The room absorbs sound rather than amplifying it. That quiet makes the space feel held and calm. Walls carry marks from long use. Small cracks, uneven plaster, and patches of darker color tell stories without words. These details remain unnoticed at night, softened by darkness. The walls stand firm, keeping out the cool air and holding warmth inside. They create a sense of enclosure that feels safe. The room does not feel large, but it feels sufficient. Enough space exists for rest, and that is what matters. Blankets rise and fall gently with breathing. This movement is slow and steady, like a quiet rhythm repeating without change. Watching this motion would be calming, but even without seeing it, the body senses it. Shared rhythms help bodies relax together. The room settles into a pattern that remains unchanged for long stretches of time. The mind begins to quiet when surroundings stay consistent. Nothing new appears. No sudden sounds break the calm. The room stays the same from moment to moment. This steadiness allows thoughts to drift without focus. Concerns from the day lose their sharpness. The mind no longer searches for solutions. It begins to rest simply because there is nothing asking for attention. Clothing placed nearby waits for morning. Shirts, trousers, and simple garments lie folded or draped over chairs. Shoes rest near walls, positioned carefully to avoid clutter. These items no longer belong to the present moment. They belong to the next day. For now, they remain untouched, silent reminders that rest comes before activity. The temperature inside remains even. It does not shift quickly. The warmth held by bodies and blankets stays close, while the walls keep out drafts. Air moves slowly, entering through small gaps or windows left slightly open. That movement feels gentle, never cold. It refreshes the space without disturbing rest. Balanced air helps breathing remain calm. Eyes stay closed longer between blinks. Muscles remain loose. The jaw rests comfortably. The tongue lies still. The forehead smooths naturally. These small physical changes signal that rest is deepening. The body recognizes this environment as safe and familiar. Sleep arrives not through effort, but through comfort. Outside sounds rarely enter these rooms. Thick walls and distance soften anything that passes beyond. If a sound does reach inside, it arrives faint and unclear, then disappears. The room returns to quiet quickly. This separation from the outside world allows deeper rest. Inside and outside feel distinct. Night belongs indoors now. Time moves gently here. Minutes stretch without being counted. The room does not change with time. Lamps outside may dim, the street may grow quieter, but inside, everything stays calm. This consistency supports long rest. The body remains supported by blankets, by warmth, by shared presence. Breathing deepens further as sleep grows stronger. The chest moves slowly. The belly rises and falls in an unforced pattern. Each breath feels complete. There is no rush to the next one. The space between breaths feels peaceful. The room holds these breaths without disturbance. As sleep settles fully, awareness fades gently. The narrow room continues to serve its purpose, holding resting bodies beneath worn blankets. Nothing shifts suddenly. Nothing interrupts the calm. The night continues quietly, and rest remains steady and deep. Chapter 4. Describe gentle night sounds of footsteps, whispers, and distant carts. Quiet sounds shape the night in a way that keeps everything steady and untroubled. The street does not fall into complete silence, yet nothing rises enough to disturb rest. Instead, sound moves gently, appearing for a moment and then easing away. Footsteps are the first to be noticed, slow and measured, touching the ground with care. Shoes meet stone softly, never striking sharply. Each step carries weight but no urgency. The sound travels only a short distance before it fades into the wider calm of the street. These footsteps often belong to late workers returning home or neighbors crossing short distances. The pace remains even, without hurry. The rhythm stays predictable, which makes it comforting rather than distracting. There is no echo, only a dull contact followed by quiet. Stone absorbs the sound easily. Walls do not reflect it strongly. The street seems designed to soften every movement that passes through it. Whispers sometimes follow footsteps, though they are never clear enough to form words. They move like low tones rather than speech. Voices stay close to the mouth, careful not to carry far. The volume remains steady and restrained. These sounds suggest presence without demanding attention. They pass through the air briefly and then dissolve, leaving no trace behind. The night accepts them easily. A pause often follows these quiet exchanges. After whispers fade, the street returns to its steady hush. This pattern repeats without surprise. Sound arrives gently, stays briefly, and leaves again. Nothing builds or grows louder. The consistency helps the mind remain calm. When sound behaves in this way, it becomes part of the background rather than a focus. Farther away, the slow movement of carts adds another layer to the night. Wheels turn carefully over uneven ground, producing a low, rolling sound. The noise remains distant, softened by space and time. It does not approach quickly. Instead, it drifts across the air at an unhurried pace. The rhythm of wheels against stone feels steady and familiar, repeating without variation. The carts do not rush through the night. They move slowly, guided with patience. Each turn of a wheel sounds much like the last. The sound grows slightly clearer for a moment, then slowly fades again as distance increases. This gradual change keeps the sound from startling. It feels predictable, like a gentle reminder that life continues quietly beyond the immediate street. Between these moments, silence rests comfortably. It is not empty, but full in its own way. The absence of sharp noise allows smaller sounds to exist without conflict. A distant cough, a soft clearing of the throat, or the faint brush of fabric may appear briefly. Each sound is contained and modest. None of them linger. The ground itself contributes to the calm. Cobblestones and packed earth do not ring or echo. They hold sound close and release it slowly. When footsteps pass, the noise stays low and grounded. This quality prevents sudden changes in volume. Everything remains balanced. Air carries sound gently at night. Cooler temperatures slow its movement. This causes noises to lose strength quickly. A whisper does not travel far. A cart does not announce itself loudly. The air seems to cushion sound rather than spread it. This makes the entire street feel more settled. Occasionally, a door opens or closes somewhere nearby. The sound is muted and brief. Hinges move slowly. Wood meets wood without force. These actions are done with care, as if those involved understand the quiet of the hour. Once the door settles, the street returns to stillness. Animals contribute very little to the soundscape. A distant dog may shift or breathe, but rarely makes a sound. Cats move silently, their presence known only by the faintest rustle, if at all. The night belongs mostly to humans finishing their movements, then withdrawing indoors. The spacing between sounds is as important as the sounds themselves. Long stretches of quiet allow the body to remain relaxed. When a sound does appear, it does not interrupt rest. It simply passes through awareness and moves on. This pattern creates a sense of safety. Nothing unexpected happens. Nothing demands reaction. Sound at night carries a different quality than during the day. It loses sharp edges. Even firm movements seem softer. This change is natural and gradual. As daylight fades, sound follows, becoming gentler and less defined. The night encourages this shift without effort. Distant carts eventually disappear altogether. Their wheels slow, then stop somewhere beyond hearing. Footsteps become less frequent. Whispers cease as doors close and streets empty further. The remaining sounds grow fewer and farther apart. Silence becomes more complete, though never absolute. The street listens to itself. It responds to sound by settling rather than reacting. Each noise is absorbed into the larger quiet. This balance allows rest to deepen. The mind does not need to stay alert. It can trust the steady pattern of the night. Some sounds are so faint they are barely noticed. The light movement of air along walls, the soft settling of wood as temperatures change, or the distant hum of the city beyond all blend together. These sounds are constant, but unobtrusive. They create a gentle background that feels stable. Nothing sudden cuts through the calm. No loud voices rise. No rapid movement breaks the rhythm. The night protects its quiet by keeping everything slow. This slowness is not forced. It happens naturally as activity decreases and rest becomes the priority. As time continues, the sounds grow even softer. The street reaches a point where noise is rare. When it does appear, it is brief and distant. The balance remains intact. The night holds steady. The overall effect of these gentle sounds is grounding. They confirm that the world remains orderly and calm. Footsteps, whispers, and carts all follow predictable patterns. They do not compete with each other. They arrive and leave without overlap. This order brings comfort. Silence eventually stretches longer than sound. When footsteps stop and carts fade, the street rests fully. The air remains still. The ground remains firm. Walls continue to hold their shape. Nothing changes quickly. In this quiet, rest becomes easier. The absence of disturbance allows the body to remain relaxed. The mind can drift without concern. The night continues its slow progression, guided by gentle sound and deeper quiet. Everything settles into place as the hours move forward. Sounds thin out until they are almost gone. What remains reigns is a steady, peaceful hush that supports sleep. The night keeps its calm, and the street remains at ease. Chapter 5. Guide attention through simple routines, finishing after long working days. A steady calm arrives when the day finally loosens its hold and routine begins to close it gently. After long hours of work, bodies move with familiarity rather than effort. The motions are simple and well known, shaped by repetition rather than thought. Hands that spent the day lifting, carrying, sewing, cleaning, or sorting now slow as they complete the last tasks of the evening. There is no rush left in these movements. The work has already been done, and what remains is the quiet process of bringing the day to a close. In small rooms and shared spaces, clothing is removed carefully and folded or hung within reach. Fabric shows marks of use, creases formed by hours of movement. Sleeves are smoothed. Buttons are undone without haste. Boots are loosened and placed beside walls, toes pointed inward to save space. The sound of leather and cloth is soft, almost absent. These items no longer belong to the present moment. They are set aside with the understanding that they will be needed again. But not now. Water is poured into simple bowls for washing. The temperature is cool, refreshing after the heat and strain of the day. Hands move slowly through the water. Faces are rinsed with care, wiping away dust and sweat. The sensation brings relief rather than alertness. Skin cools, then warms again as it dries. This small act marks a clear shift from labor to rest. The body responds by easing its tension. Meals have already been taken earlier, modest and filling. Now only small remnants remain. Bowls are rinsed. Cups are placed upside down to dry. Utensils are stacked neatly. The sounds remain low and controlled. Nothing clatters. These routines are done so often that they require little attention. The mind stays quiet while the hands complete familiar tasks. In shared households, these routines unfold side by side. Each person follows a similar sequence, though not always at the same pace. Some move more slowly, others finish sooner, but all actions remain gentle. There is no competition for time. Evening belongs to everyone equally. The space fills with the quiet cooperation of people accustomed to living closely together. Bedding is prepared next. mattresses are smoothed by hand. Blankets are shaken lightly to remove dust, then laid carefully into place. Pillows are adjusted to sit evenly beneath worn covers. These actions are small, but they carry importance. A prepared bed signals that rest is near. The body often responds immediately, feeling heavier at the thought of lying down. Simple lighting is adjusted. Lamps are turned lower. Candles are trimmed or extinguished. The light inside rooms grows dimmer, shifting from usefulness to comfort. Shadows deepen in corners. The room feels softer, less defined. Eyes no longer need to focus sharply. This change helps the mind slow without effort. Personal items are gathered and placed where they belong. A calm is set beside a bowl. A cloth is folded and laid on a shelf. Tools used during the day are cleaned briefly and stored. These items carry the memory of work. But once put away, they lose their hold. Order brings ease. When everything rests in its place, the mind follows. Children settle earlier, guided by the same routines each night. Hands are washed. Faces are dried. Bedding is pulled close. Small adjustments are made to ensure comfort. Voices remain low. Movement stays gentle. The transition into rest happens gradually, without announcement. The body recognizes the pattern and responds naturally. Older members of the household move with practiced care. Movements are economical, never wasted. Each step serves a purpose. Chairs are nudged slightly to clear space. Windows are checked, opened or closed just enough to balance air. These details are handled quietly, preserving the calm of the space. As routines continue, breathing begins to change. It becomes slower, deeper, and more even. Shoulders drop slightly. The neck relaxes. Muscles no longer hold tension meant for work. This shift happens without command. It is the result of repetition and familiarity. The body trusts what comes next. Evening routines do not vary much from one day to the next. This sameness brings comfort. There is no need to decide what to do. Each step follows the one before it naturally. The mind rests in this predictability. Thought becomes minimal. Attention stays with the present action, only as long as needed. Quiet exchanges may happen during this time. Short phrases are spoken softly. Instructions or reminders are brief. Laughter is rare and subdued, not absent but gentle. Voices never rise. Sound remains contained within the room. These exchanges strengthen connection without disturbing calm. As the final tasks finish, movement slows further. People choose their places for rest. Some sit briefly before lying down. Others move directly to bed. The room responds by becoming still. Air settles. Light fades further. The space shifts fully into rest mode. Hands find their resting positions. Arms settle along sides or fold loosely across the body. Legs extend or curl slightly. No position is forced. Comfort guides the body into stillness. The weight of blankets adds gentle pressure that signals safety and warmth. The routines that once required effort during the day now feel automatic and soothing. This contrast helps the body release the remaining tension of labor. Muscles soften. Joints rest. The sense of completion becomes clear. Nothing remains undone that requires attention. The outside world feels distant during this time. Workplaces, streets, and demands no longer occupy the mind. Inside, the focus narrows to simple comfort. The space holds steady. Walls remain quiet. Floors feel firm and supportive. Everything necessary for rest is already present. As the final moments of routine pass, awareness naturally drifts inward. Thoughts become fewer. Sensations grow more noticeable, but only in gentle ways. The feel of fabric against skin. The weight of the body against the mattress. The steady rhythm of breathing. These sensations anchor the body in rest. Nothing signals urgency now. There are no clocks watched closely. Time stretches quietly. The night allows this unhurried pace. Routine completes itself without instruction. The transition from work to rest feels complete and settled. The room reaches a state where no further action is needed. All tasks have ended. All items are in place. Bodies are supported and warm. The calm that follows feels earned, not forced. Rest begins to deepen naturally, carried forward by the quiet order created through simple routines at the end of long working days. Chapter 6. Observe shared courtyards, cooling as evening air feels slightly damp. A calm sense of release spreads when the open spaces between buildings begin to cool and settle for the night. shared courtyards, once shaped by movement and daytime noise, now rest in a quieter state. Stone surfaces that held warmth earlier slowly let it go. The change happens gently, without sudden shifts. The air feels slightly damp, carrying the freshness that arrives after the sun has fully lowered. This cooling brings balance, easing the space into stillness. The courtyard sits enclosed by surrounding walls, creating a contained area where sound and air move carefully. Brick and stone form a simple boundary, worn smooth in places by years of use. Windows face inward from several sides, most of them dark now. A few show faint light behind curtains, but even those are muted. The open space feels calm, protected from stronger winds and louder streets beyond. As evening deepens, the air settles lower to the ground. It brushes lightly against skin, noticeable but never sharp. The dampness does not cling heavily. It rests softly, cooling surfaces without soaking them. The ground grows darker as moisture gathers, giving stone a slightly deeper color. This change happens slowly enough to feel soothing. Nothing about it feels sudden or uncomfortable. Earlier warmth lingers for a time beneath the surface of the courtyard floor. It rises gently, meeting the cooler air above. This exchange creates a steady, even temperature that feels stable. The balance between warm stone and cool air creates comfort rather than contrast. Standing or sitting nearby, the body would feel neither chilled nor overheated. The space seems prepared for rest. Any remaining movement in the courtyard happens quietly. A final window may be adjusted. A bucket might be set down with care. These actions are brief and purposeful. Once finished, the space returns to stillness. The courtyard does not invite lingering activity at this hour. It signals closure through its calm. Moisture in the air softens sound further. Any noise that does occur feels distant and subdued. Footsteps passing nearby are faint. Voices do not carry. Even the rustle of fabric seems absorbed quickly. The courtyard responds by remaining quiet. It does not echo sharply or amplify movement. This quality makes the space feel safe and settled. The air carries simple scents shaped by the environment. Stone, earth, and faint traces of water combine into a clean, neutral smell. There is nothing sharp or strong. The scent blends into the background easily. It does not demand attention. Instead, it supports relaxation by remaining steady and familiar. Shadows deepen along the edges of the courtyard as light fades. Corners grow darker first, then the center follows. Shapes become less defined. Details soften. This gradual loss of clarity helps the mind release focus. When the eyes no longer track sharp outlines, thoughts tend to slow. The space encourages this shift naturally. The walls surrounding the courtyard hold their temperature well. They release warmth slowly, contributing to the gentle balance of the space. Touching them would reveal a mild coolness, not cold, just enough to remind the body that night has arrived. This sensation feels grounding rather than uncomfortable. Windows above remain still. Curtains hang quietly without movement. The few open windows allow air to pass slowly into rooms, refreshing them without creating drafts. The courtyard acts as a buffer, guiding air gently rather than forcing it. This measured movement keeps the entire space calm. The ground beneath feels firm and reliable. Stones remain solid underfoot. The slight dampness creates a smooth surface that reflects faint light softly. Nothing slips or shifts. The courtyard maintains its shape and purpose. It remains an open area meant for shared use, now resting until morning. As the air cools further, the courtyard's role changes. It no longer serves as a place for gathering or work. Instead, it becomes a quiet presence, supporting rest for those nearby. Its openness allows the night to settle evenly, spreading calm to surrounding rooms. Occasionally, a gentle breeze passes through. It moves slowly, guided by the surrounding walls. The breeze carries cool air evenly, never sharply. It brushes against surfaces lightly, then fades. This movement refreshes the space without disturbing its calm. The dampness in the air grows slightly more noticeable as time passes. It settles on stone and wood alike, creating a subtle sheen. This moisture does not drip or collect heavily. It rests lightly, cooling surfaces and softening textures. The effect remains steady and reassuring. Sound from distant streets barely reaches the courtyard now. Whatever remains of the city's activity stays far away. The courtyard exists in its own quiet zone. This separation allows deeper rest for those whose windows face inward. The space acts as a shield, filtering out the outside world. As the night continues, the courtyard remains unchanged. No new activity appears. No sudden sounds break the calm. The air stays cool and slightly damp. The ground remains still. The walls continue to hold their shape and warm. This consistency helps the mind settle. The courtyard's simplicity adds to its calming effect. There are no decorations or distractions. Just stone, air, and quiet. This lack of stimulation allows the senses to relax. Attention does not wander. It rests gently on the feeling of cool air and steady stillness. Time moves quietly here. Minutes pass without noticeable change. The courtyard does not reflect the passing of time through activity. Instead, it remains steady, offering the same calm moment after moment. This steadiness supports long periods of rest. The cooling air continues its gentle work. It lowers the temperature gradually, allowing bodies indoors to remain comfortable under blankets. The balance between indoor warmth and outdoor coolness feels intentional, even though it happens naturally. The environment supports rest without effort. The courtyard becomes a quiet companion to the night. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, holding space between buildings. Its calm presence influences nearby rooms, encouraging deeper sleep. As the hours pass, the courtyard remains calm and unchanged. The air stays cool and slightly damp. The ground remains still. The walls continue to release warmth slowly. Nothing interrupts the quiet. The space holds steady, allowing the night to continue peacefully and without disturbance. Chapter 7. Explain quiet moments of neighbors, preparing beds and settling minds. A gentle calm takes shape when neighbors turn inward, focusing on the quiet work of preparing for rest. Across nearby rooms, small movements unfold with care and patience. Bedding is adjusted softly, never shaken with force. Sheets are smoothed by hand, following familiar lines and corners. Blankets are drawn up slowly, their edges aligned with quiet attention. These actions do not require thought. They are guided by memory and habit, shaped by many evenings just like this one. In each room, light grows softer as lamps are lowered or covered. Shadows stretch across walls and settle into still shapes. The glow that remains is enough to guide movement without pulling focus. Eyes begin to relax in this softer light. room feels less sharp, less demanding. The shift from brightness to dimness signals the body to slow down even before rest begins. Neighbors move without urgency. Doors are closed gently, handles turned with care. Floors receive footsteps that barely make a sound. Each movement respects the quiet shared across walls and corridors. There is an unspoken understanding that the night belongs to everyone. Loudness has no place here. Calm is shared and preserved. Beds take their final shape for the night. Pillows are placed where they offer the most comfort. Worn fabric settles easily, shaped by the bodies it supports. The weight of blankets is adjusted to match the coolness of the air. These small choices help the body relax without effort. Comfort is not rushed. It is built gradually, one simple action at a time. Personal items are set aside carefully. Glasses are placed on small tables. Hair is loosened from the day's arrangement. Hands are washed and dried, then left to rest. These gestures mark a clear boundary between activity and stillness. Once completed, there is no need to return to them. The mind recognizes that the day has ended. Voices, if they appear at all, stay low and brief. A few words may pass between neighbors or family members, but they are spoken softly. There is no storytelling or discussion. Conversation yields to quiet. The need to explain or respond fades naturally. Silence becomes more comfortable than speech. As neighbors settle into their beds, bodies release the last traces of tension. Shoulders drop slightly. Backs ease against mattresses. Legs find positions that require no adjustment. Arms rest loosely, no longer holding weight or tools. These physical changes happen slowly, guided by comfort rather than instruction. The mind follows the body into calm. Thoughts that linger from the day begin to lose their clarity. They soften at the edges, no longer demanding attention. Concerns feel farther away, as if placed outside the room. The steady environment offers reassurance. Nothing needs to be solved during the night. Rooms hold warmth gently. The air remains still, not heavy, not cold. Breath moves easily in this space. Inhaling feels smooth. Exhaling feels complete. The rhythm becomes steady without effort. This change signals the nervous system to rest. calm deepens with each passing moment. Neighbors nearby follow similar patterns. Even without seeing them, their presence is felt through shared quiet. Walls carry faint vibrations of movement settling down. These sounds are not distracting. They confirm that others are resting too. This shared rhythm brings comfort, reinforcing the sense of safety. Curtains are adjusted to block remaining light. Windows are checked one last time to balance air and warmth. These final adjustments are made slowly, with care. Once finished, there is no further need to move. The room reaches a state of readiness for rest. The act of lying down becomes deliberate and gentle. Bodies lower themselves carefully. Mattresses respond with slight shifts, then grow still. Blankets are pulled close. The sensation of fabric against skin feels familiar and reassuring. The weight encourages stillness, helping the body remain settled. Breathing deepens further. The chest rises and falls in an even pattern. There is no effort involved. The breath finds its own pace, slower than before. Each breath feels complete. Pauses between breaths lengthen comfortably. This steady rhythm supports the transition into deeper rest. The room grows quieter as movement fades. No one needs to adjust position repeatedly. Comfort has been found. The silence that follows feels full rather than empty. It holds the presence of people at rest. The environment feels supportive, not isolating. Thoughts drift gently without direction. The mind no longer follows structured paths. Images may appear briefly, then dissolve. There is no need to hold on to them. Awareness softens, spreading evenly rather than focusing sharply. This state feels natural at this hour. Outside sounds remain distant and faint. They do not intrude on the calm inside. The separation between indoors and outdoors feels clear. The room becomes a small, protected space dedicated to rest. Walls provide quiet assurance. The night supports this boundary without interruption. As time passes, neighbors remain settled. No new sounds emerge. The earlier movements have ended. The shared understanding of rest holds steady. The building itself seems to relax. Creaks and shifts settling into stillness. The air remains balanced, neither too warm nor too cool. The body adjusts without waking awareness. Small changes in position happen naturally, guided by comfort. Each adjustment leads back to stillness quickly. The quiet moments stretch gently. Minutes pass without notice. The absence of activity becomes the defining feature of the space. This stillness allows rest to deepen naturally. There is no pressure to sleep quickly. The environment supports gradual drifting. The final traces of wakefulness fade as neighbors fully settle. Minds quiet. Bodies rest. The night continues without disruption. Everything remains calm, steady, and unchanging, allowing sleep to take its place gently and without resistance. Chapter 8. Lid thoughts toward the steady calm of sleep arriving slowly. A deep and reassuring quiet settles when the mind finally realizes that nothing more is required of it tonight. The steady calm of sleep does not arrive suddenly or forcefully. It approaches with patience, allowing thoughts to slow at their own pace. At first, the mind still holds fragments of the day, small pieces of memory or sensation that drift without urgency. These fragments are not sharp. They appear gently and fade just as softly, leaving behind a growing sense of ease. The body already rests in a comfortable position, supported and warm. This physical stillness sends a clear signal inward. Muscles no longer hold tension. The weight of the body feels evenly distributed. No single area demanding attention. The neck and shoulders remain loose. Hands rest where they have settled, fingers relaxed rather than curled. The face feels smooth, with no expression held in place. These physical cues guide the mind toward rest without instruction. Thoughts begin to slow in response to this comfort. They no longer form complete sentences or clear plans. Instead, they take on a softer shape, more like impressions than ideas. A memory may appear briefly, then lose its detail. Another thought may follow, quieter than the last. There is no effort to organize or control these thoughts. They drift naturally, guided by the calm environment. The rhythm of breathing supports this change. Each breath feels unhurried. The pause after each exhale grows slightly longer, creating space between breaths. This space feels peaceful, not empty. It allows the mind to rest momentarily before the next breath arrives. The steady pattern continues without effort, reinforcing a sense of stability. Sound remains minimal, barely present. Any distant noise is too soft to hold attention. The absence of clear sound allows the mind to turn inward gently. Silence becomes a supportive presence rather than something to notice. It holds the space where thoughts can slow without interruption. As time passes, the mind becomes less interested in external details. Awareness shifts away from surroundings and toward a more internal calm. Sensations such as warmth, softness, and stillness remain, but they do not require focus. They exist quietly in the background, allowing the mind to rest more deeply. Thoughts that once carried emotion lose their intensity. Worry no longer feels urgent. Curiosity fades. Even pleasant ideas feel distant. This neutral state allows the mind to settle without resistance. There is no need to push thoughts away. They simply pass through more slowly, leaving longer stretches of quiet behind. The sense of time changes during this phase. Minutes no longer feel distinct. The mind stops tracking duration. This loss of time awareness is gentle and gradual. It does not feel disorienting. Instead, it brings relief, as there is no longer a need to measure or plan. The present moment stretches comfortably. Physical sensations remain consistent. The weight of blankets stays steady. The temperature does not change abruptly. Air moves slowly and evenly. These stable conditions help maintain calm. The body does not need to adjust or respond. It remains settled, encouraging the mind to follow. As sleep approaches, thoughts become simpler. Instead of forming narratives, the mind may hold single images or vague sensations. These are not vivid or stimulating. They feel distant and soft, like outlines without detail. They come and go without pulling attention fully. This stage feels like drifting rather than thinking. The boundary between awareness and rest becomes less clear. Moments of quiet grow longer than moments of thought. The mind spends more time resting between ideas. These pauses feel comfortable and safe. There is no sense of loss of control. The transition happens naturally. Breathing remains slow and even. Each inhale feels complete. Each exhale releases more tension. The chest moves gently. The belly rises and falls in a smooth pattern. This rhythm continues without interruption, reinforcing the steady calm. The body responds by sinking more deeply into rest. Muscles remain loose. Joints feel supported. There is no urge to shift position. Comfort feels sufficient. The body no longer seeks improvement or adjustment. It accepts the present state fully. Thoughts that do appear feel distant and unimportant. They do not connect to each other. They do not lead anywhere. This lack of progression allows them to fade quickly. The mind no longer follows them. It rests instead. The environment remains unchanged. Light stays low. Sound stays minimal. Air stays still. These unchanging conditions help the mind trust that nothing unexpected will happen. This trust allows deeper relaxation. As sleep draws nearer, awareness softens further. The distinction between thoughts and sensations blurs. The mind becomes less active, more receptive. It no longer evaluates or reacts. It simply exists within the calm. The pace of inner experience slows. There is no rush towards sleep. It arrives gradually, like a natural continuation of rest. The mind does not need to recognize the exact moment it happens. Awareness fades gently, without notice. Breathing continues steadily even as awareness diminishes. The body maintains its rhythm independently. This allows the mind to release control fully. The final moments before sleep feel peaceful and unremarkable, which makes them comforting. Sleep settles in quietly, without announcement. Thoughts dissolve into stillness. Awareness narrows, then softens further. The calm that has been building completes itself naturally. The night continues, steady and unchanged as rest deepens fully. Chapter 9. Encourage awareness of warmth, stillness, and safety within the room. A deep sense of comfort settles when the room offers quiet warmth and dependable stillness. Inside these enclosed walls, the air holds steady, neither drifting nor pressing in. Warmth gathers gently beneath blankets and clothing, staying close to the body without becoming heavy. It feels consistent, as if it has been there all along. The room does not shift or surprise. It remains reliable, offering a calm space that supports rest. Stillness becomes noticeable as movement fades completely. Nothing in the room requires adjustment. Furniture stands firm. Curtains hang without motion. Floors feel solid beneath beds and chairs. This lack of change allows awareness to relax. When the surroundings remain steady, the body no longer stays alert. It recognizes that no response is needed. Muscles soften further, releasing effort held earlier. Warmth spreads evenly rather than concentrating in one place. Shoulders feel supported. Legs rest comfortably. Hands remain relaxed, resting against fabric or mattress. This even warmth helps the body remain still. There is no discomfort asking for attention. Sensations remain gentle and consistent, encouraging calm. The room itself feels protective. Walls stand close enough to create a sense of enclosure without feeling tight. They block out drafts and distant sounds. The ceiling remains above, quiet and unchanged. Doors stay closed or slightly ajar in familiar ways. This structure creates a clear boundary between inside and outside. Within this boundary, safety feels natural. Light remains low, enough to soften shapes without creating darkness that feels uncertain. Shadows rest in familiar places. Corners remain quiet. Nothing appears unfamiliar. The eye does not search or scan. It rests easily. Knowing the space well, familiar surroundings reduce the need for attention. The bed supports the body evenly. The mattress responds gently to weight, offering firmness without pressure. Fabric beneath feels smooth and known. Sheets and blankets stay in place, holding warmth consistently. This support encourages complete stillness. The body trusts the surface beneath it. Sound within the room remains minimal. Breathing is the most noticeable rhythm, slow and even. Occasional subtle sounds, such as fabric settling or wood adjusting slightly, appear briefly and fade. These sounds do not interrupt rest. They confirm that the room is alive in a quiet way, stable and secure. The sense of safety grows from predictability. Nothing changes suddenly. The room does not demand attention. This predictability allows the mind to release vigilance. There is no need to monitor surroundings. Awareness can rest gently on the feeling of being held by the space. Warmth remains steady through time. It does not fluctuate. The balance between indoor warmth and outdoor coolness stays consistent. This balance feels intentional, even though it happens naturally. The body does not need to adjust. Comfort remains constant. Stillness extends beyond physical movement. The air itself feels calm. It does not swirl or shift noticeably. This calm air supports breathing, allowing it to remain slow and effortless. Each breath feels complete, with no urgency. The steady rhythm reinforces the sense of safety. The room carries the quiet presence of familiar objects. Personal belongings rest where they were placed earlier. Nothing appears out of order. This order supports mental calm. When objects remain where expected, the mind does not search or question. It accepts the environment as settled. Awareness narrows naturally to simple sensations. The feel of warmth against skin, the weight of blankets, the gentle support beneath the body. These sensations remain constant, allowing the mind to rest within them. There is no need to analyze or label them. They exist quietly. The boundaries of the room provide reassurance. Walls and doors define a clear space. Within this space, the body can relax fully. The outside world feels distant and irrelevant. Any concerns associated with it do not enter here. The room remains dedicated to rest. Time becomes less noticeable. Without changes in light or sound, minutes pass without being counted. The absence of time pressure supports deeper relaxation. The mind does not track duration. It remains focused on the steady present. Warmth continues to signal safety. It reminds the body that it is protected from cold and exposure. This reassurance allows deeper rest. Muscles do not tense. Joints remain comfortable. There is no urge to shift or reposition. Stillness becomes complete. The body remains in one position without discomfort. This lack of movement is not forced. It happens naturally when comfort is sufficient. The room supports this stillness by remaining unchanged. The sense of safety extends inward. The mind feels less guarded. Thoughts, if they appear, feel distant and unimportant. There is no need to respond to them. They drift without consequence. Awareness stays anchored in the calm environment. Breathing continues at an even pace. The chest rises and falls gently. The space between breaths feels peaceful. This rhythm remains uninterrupted. The body handles it without conscious involvement. This autonomy allows awareness to soften further. The room's quiet presence feels reassuring. It does not impose itself. It simply exists, holding space for rest. The lack of stimulation allows the senses to relax. Vision remains unfocused. Hearing stays passive. Touch registers only gentle support. Warmth, stillness, and safety work together to create a complete environment for rest. None of these elements stand out sharply. They blend into a single experience of comfort. This blending allows awareness to remain soft and unengaged. The body remains settled. The mind remains calm. The room continues unchanged. This consistency allows rest to deepen without interruption. There is no anticipation of disturbance. The environment feels trustworthy. As time continues, the sense of safety becomes almost unnoticed because it is so complete. Awareness does not need to confirm it. The body simply remains relaxed. The room continues to offer support without effort. The quiet holds steady. Warmth stays even. Stillness remains complete. The space continues to protect rest, allowing sleep to deepen naturally and remain undisturbed. Chapter 10. Close by allowing rest as the night remains quiet. A peaceful certainty settles when the night proves it will remain quiet for as long as rest requires. The final movements of the evening have already passed, leaving the space unchanged and calm. Nothing new enters the room. Nothing asks for attention. The night holds steady, offering a long stretch of stillness that allows rest to continue without interruption. Silence deepens gradually rather than suddenly. It feels layered, built from the absence of movement and sound. Any noise that once existed has softened into the background, no longer noticeable. The room does not echo or amplify. It absorbs what little sound remains and returns to quiet. This silence feels full rather than empty, holding the presence of the night itself. The air remains settled and balanced. It does not cool further or grow warmer. It stays even, supporting comfort without change. Breathing continues slowly and steadily, guided by this stable environment. Each breath arrives gently and leaves just as smoothly. The body follows this rhythm naturally, without effort or awareness. The night outside remains distant and inactive. Streets stay quiet. Courtyards remain still. Lamps, if any remain lit, hold their soft glow without flicker. Darkness rests in familiar shapes. There is no sense of activity building elsewhere. The world feels paused in a gentle way, allowing rest to deepen without concern. Inside, the room remains unchanged. Furniture stays where it has always been. Fabrics lie smoothly, undisturbed. Walls remain steady. The ceiling offers quiet enclosure. Doors stay closed or slightly open as they were earlier. These unchanging details reinforce a sense of reliability. When nothing shifts, the mind does not stay alert. Time becomes less defined. Without changes in sound or light, minutes blend together. The passing of hours is no longer tracked. This loss of time awareness feels natural and comforting. The mind does not need to know how long rest will last. It simply accepts that the night is long enough. The body remains fully supported. Weight rests evenly. There is no pressure to adjust position. Comfort remains sufficient, allowing complete stillness. Muscles stay relaxed. Joints remain at ease. The absence of discomfort removes the need for movement. Stillness becomes the natural state. Thoughts, if they appear at all, feel distant and faint. They do not form clear ideas or images. They pass through awareness without drawing attention. There is no need to follow them. Awareness remains soft, resting within the calm of the environment, rather than engaging with the mind's activity. The night continues to protect this calm. No sudden sounds break through. No light shifts unexpectedly. The environment remains consistent. This consistency allows deeper layers of rest to settle in. The body trusts the night because it has shown no signs of disturbance. Breathing remains slow and even. The pauses between breaths feel comfortable. The chest rises and falls gently. The body manages this rhythm without conscious involvement. This steady pattern supports ongoing rest, allowing awareness to fade further. The room feels contained in a reassuring way. Its boundaries remain clear. Inside feels separate from the outside world. Concerns connected to daytime activity stay beyond these walls. They do not enter the space of rest. The room remains dedicated solely to quiet and recovery. As awareness softens, sensations become less distinct. Warmth remains present, but no longer demands notice. Stillness continues, but feels natural rather than deliberate. Safety remains, though it no longer needs to be confirmed. These elements blend into a single experience of calm. The night shows no intention of ending quickly. It stretches onward, offering more time than needed. This abundance of time removes any sense of urgency. Rest does not need to hurry. Sleep can deepen at its own pace. The surrounding environment supports this depth. Walls remain firm. Floors stay solid. Air remains calm. The absence of change allows the mind to release any remaining vigilance. Awareness drifts toward a quieter state where thoughts no longer form clearly. Moments of complete stillness become longer. The space between thoughts widens. The body remains motionless without strain. This state feels effortless, as if the environment itself carries the responsibility for maintaining calm. The night outside continues unchanged. No new activity begins. No distant sounds grow louder. The city, if it exists beyond, remains far away and muted. The immediate surroundings remain the same from moment to moment. The room's quiet presence feels steady and dependable. It does not impose itself. It simply remains, offering support through its consistency. This quiet presence allows rest to continue without interruption. As awareness fades further, the distinction between being awake and being asleep becomes less important. The transition happens naturally, without a clear boundary. The night supports this transition by remaining calm and predictable. Breathing continues, steady and slow. The body remains warm and supported. The mind rests without direction. There is no need to notice the exact moment sleep deepens. It happens quietly, carried by the unchanging night. The hours pass without recognition. The environment remains the same. This sameness becomes a foundation for deep rest. The body remains relaxed. The mind remains calm. The night continues its quiet work. Nothing interrupts. Nothing changes. The night remains quiet, allowing rest to settle fully and remain undisturbed for as long as needed.